اهلا فيكم مره ثانيه. جلوري جلوري مان يونايتد، يستاهلون جمهور مانشستر. من عنوان الحلقه واضح، دوايت يورك. بلشنا في دلبوسكي، دخلنا على روبرت بيريز، ثم الان دخلنا على دوايت يورك، احد نجوم مانشستر يونايتد خصوصا في موسم الثلاثيه. هذا اللاعب اللي تالق وتعملق مع استون فيلا، وعلى اثر ذلك انتقل لمانشستر يونايتد. طبعا هذا اللاعب صراحه روحه حلوه ونشكره، عشان كذي قلت في البدايه جلوري جلوري مان يونايتد. وجمهور مانشستر يونايتد بوجهه نظري يستاهل التقدير والاحترام. انا في تويتر اكثر مره اعلنت رايي في جمهور مانشستر، قلت من اكثر الجماهير مثقفه واللي احترمهم، مع ان اشجع ليفربول وهذا الشيء واضح، بس بالعمل امور مختلفه، لازم واحد يكون محايد. ومانشستر يونايتد اكيد نادي كبير ويستحق التقدير والاحترام، وجمهوره من اجمل جماهير والاكثر تفاعل، فبالتالي يستاهلون لاعب مانشستراوي نستضيفه ونتكلم على ايام الحلوه. خلاص مانشستر يونايتد الان مقبل على امر قد تكون ايام جميله، ولكن بنفس الوقت نونسهم في التوقف الدولي هذا، ونحط لهم لاعب يحبونه دوايت يورك، واللي شكل ثنائيه مع اندي كانت ثنائيه خطيره. مانشستر كان متدلع من الاخر، حتى تيدي شيرينغهام كان موجود في مانشستر يونايتد، فبالتالي النادي كان يحتوي على العديد من النجوم، العديد من المواهب، يستقطب اي لاعب في العالم، اي لاعب يرتبط في مانشستر يونايتد على طول يتجه لهذا النادي. بما ان هذه الايام الحلوه كانت موجوده، كلمنا عن موسم الثلاثيه، وحتى كلمنا عن الكمباك اللي كان ضد بايرن ميونخ في النهائي، في دقيقتين وقت بدل ضايع مانشستر يونايتد قلب النتيجه نهائيا وحقق البطوله. اكيد لازم ناخذ اسرار هني وهناك. بالاضافه لوضع مانشستر يونايتد في الاونه الاخيره، شفنا تدهور النتائج، شفنا تمرد بعض اللاعبين، مدربين قد لا يكون على مستوى القدر، فبالتالي اخذنا وجهه نظر دوايت يورك فيما يحصل في مانشستر يونايتد وما يدور خلف الابواب المغلقه. وايضا موضوع الاعلام، اكثر مره في لقاءاتي سواء في برنامج 1 2 ولا برنامج بلنتي، دائما اقول ان نادي مانشستر يونايتد مسلط عليه الاعلام، ولكن في الاونه الاخيره مسلط بشكل سلبي. في ايام فيرجسون تظهر انتقادات، مانشستر يونايتد يرد في الملعب يحقق نتيجه، خلاص الجمهور يكون راضي، فبالتالي الاعلام صعب انه يتغلغل. في الفتره الاخيره نادي كبير، شو اعلامي كبير، جماهيريه، ولكن العطاء في ارضيه الملعب مو العطاء اللي متوقع من نادي كبير، فبالتالي يكون صيد سهل للاعلام، والاعلام يحب تصيد ويحب يحط لك المانشيتات على مانشستر يونايتد، فايضا اخذنا وجهه نظره في هذا الموضوع. طبعا كلكم تقول مانشستر يونايتد مانشستر يونايتد، ليش ما رحت اولد ترافورد لما كنت في بريطانيا 4 شهور؟ والله تذاكر خارج عرضوا علي، بس وقتها كان في مباريات في انفيلد، في مباريات في ستانفورد بريدج، في مباريات في نيوكاسل، وبيني وبينكم اخاف اروح اولد ترافورد ولا يعرفني واحد ولا شيء اشر يقول ليفربولي بعد ما اتحمل اي عقبات. فاذا جمهور مانشستر يونايتد تحسون ان في امال لي، كلموني، بالعكس نمون على بعض ان شاء الله اذا العلاقات تحسنت. وايضا جمهور مانشستر يونايتد لكم خصم خاص لاي مباراه اللعب في اولد ترافورد لمتابعين مالك عدنان. لما تدخل على حساب تذاكر خليج، السلام عليكم، معاكم فلان من طرف مالك عدنان، شفنا قناته في اليوتيوب وقال انه في عرض لجماهير مانشستر يونايتد. اي مباراه في اولد ترافورد ادخل عليهم، وراح يكون فقط لمتابعين مالك عدنان عرض خاص. تستاهلون يا جمهور مانشستر، هذا عربون محبه ما بيننا. مكان اخر ودي اشكره والف الحمد لله على هذه النعمه، ان في كل مكان في الكويت اشوف صوري موجوده، اشوف الاصدقاء كانوا يصوروني، اشوف حتى الاهل كانوا مستمتعين، والف الحمد لله انك انت حتى تكون في اكبر شاشه في ساحه الصفات، في السالميه، في مجمع شاهه، في كل مكان تتواجد فيه، الناس تكلمك. حتى ربعي يطالع الصوره يقول والله هذا صديقي. انا قبل كنت اقول عن متروفيتش، اقول عن روبرتسون، الحين اصدقائي قاموا يقولونها عني. حتى انت ويا متابعيني كلنا اصدقاء، عادي يصور الشاشه يقول والله هذا ترى صاحبي، وبالفعل راح اكد المعلومه، ادخل علي وما عليك راح تشوف في تاكيد المعلومه. فالحمد لله، شكرا شركه ادزون على هذه الرعايه الكريمه واللي ونستونا صراحه. يعني الف الحمد لله ان وصلنا لمستوى عالي، خصوصا بالنجوم الكبار اللي قاعدين نقابلهم، وايضا انتم ما شاء الله عليكم شركه ناجحه. والحين ما بيطول عليكم، ابي اترككم مع مقابله دوايت يورك واتمنى تستمتعون فيها. Hello Mr. Dwight, it's a really great pleasure to meet one of Man United legends.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I hope you are doing well. And I would like to ask you about the special season, the season that Man United win the treble. You have played a great part, one of the best players, if not the best. Yeah, scoring a lot of goals, 18 in the Premier League and 8 in Champions League. Tell us about this season.
Well, obviously, I've joined the club from Aston Villa after spending 10 years at Aston Villa and playing in the Premier League. From since the beginning of the Premier League, since 1992 till the time I joined Manchester United. So I had a real good experience playing at Aston Villa for a number of years, and then when I had the opportunity to go to Manchester to elevate myself as a player, then I expect when I left Aston Villa was to try and win trophies, major competitions, and of course, in the first year that I've managed to win all three trophies, be the top scorer, voted the Player of the Year, win the World Club Championship. So it was quite a historical moment of joining Manchester United Football Club.
Yeah, and about the final, I think the final, there is a great comeback, yeah, at the end of the game. So what happened exactly?
Well, we had a lot of challenges, of course, when we won the Premier League and then obviously win the FA Cup. It was in a space of 10 days that we had to go to Wembley, then beat Newcastle, and then obviously had the final on the Wednesday after playing on the Saturday. So we had very little recovery time. It was pretty much a 3-day transition. And then we go to Barcelona to try and do something, achieve the first Premier League team to have won the treble. So we were missing two of our most influential players in Roy Keane and Paul Scholes in midfield. So the manager made those changes and brought in Nicky Butt and Jesper Blomqvist. That seems to really dismantle us a little bit, but Bayern Munich is a great team, a great history as well. And of course, the challenge was to try and overcome them on the night, and they played extremely well. We didn't play particularly great, end up hanging in there, and at 1-0, as you all know, that we always feel that we got a chance at 1-0, and the manager made a couple of important changes with Teddy Sheringham and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And these two guys came on in the last few minutes, and then we also turned the game on its head and won the game at the very last minute of the game. So quite a bizarre way of winning a football match, but triumph one for us from a Manchester United standpoint.
Yeah. And I would like to ask you about getting hungry. Sometimes when there is some club win for 1 or 2 seasons, they get enough, yeah. But for Man United, it's every season they win trophies.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the footprints of Manchester United over the years, and that's a legacy that Sir Alex Ferguson has brought into the club to be a serial winner, win every year some type of trophy, because it's important to keep Manchester at the top, and the only way to do that in terms of pleasing our fans on a global stage was to continue to win trophies each year. And so the manager has his philosophy and his legacy that he brought into the football club, and he wanted to make sure and set a high standard in terms of winning trophy each year. I think City is doing that at the moment, and we are on the opposite side of it at the moment. Although in a few years' time we've been able to win the odd cup competitions. But having said that, United is still such a big club that everyone still talks about us and still wants to associate themselves with Manchester United. But there's always been that winning mentality in the football club, always.
Yeah, and your partnership with Colt was amazing. Yeah. Do you see any partnership nowadays that reminds you of these good days?
No, I don't really see the partnership like myself and Coley had. I think because now that football has changed, the system is changed. There is a lot of one center forward rather than two combined like we used to do in the good old days. We used to play a standard 4-4-2 system. Now you see a lot of 4-3-3 system, a 4-2-3-1 system. So there's so much dimension to the game now, and so many formations that they don't really play that traditional way of playing like we did back 20 years ago, unfortunately. Whether we revert back to that, maybe there might be a circle where the 4-4-2 system comes back into play. But right now, I'm sure everyone looked at Manchester City in terms of what they're doing, in terms of bringing that extra centre back into midfield to create an overload in the midfield area. So a lot of teams are trying to copy that and trying to counter-attack that. So football has a way of just reverting back, but I'm sure maybe 20 years from now we might see the old traditional 4-4-2 system. But unfortunately, they're not the way that we used to play of a 4-4-2 system where you have two strikers.
Yeah, and after winning the treble, you have been to Australia. I hear that you slept during training.
No, I think that's a myth again that has been forecast. I think again, people tend to talk without really knowing the facts of it. We had had a really late night, and then obviously with training the next morning, we were allowed out. We all went out, and we had a really long day and long travel. Obviously with the jet lag, we did the work, and then during that training session, we were taking a break, and I lie down in that period of time, and everyone thought it was funny that I was just pretending to fall asleep. But yeah, they made a big thing out of it, that it wasn't really materialized like how people are making it out to be.
Yeah, because when I read the news from Nicky Bott, I think you were sleeping, and they said that they made noises to wake you up.
Yeah, it was just all tongue in cheek. It was probably funny at the time because it's boys being boys, and that's what we do among ourselves, make fun of each other and tell stories, because that's what it makes us all interesting about. And so there was nothing about it. The manager was there, nothing came of it. There was no fine. There's not like I haven't played for Man United since then and all that. So there really wasn't anything there. It was just boys being boys.
Yeah, back to your days. Did the media treat you different to nowadays compared to Manchester United? Because I think nowadays the media are very focused on Manchester United in terms of picking the wrong things.
Well, listen, Man United is one of the biggest clubs. So if you play for that football club, it's whether you're doing well or you're not doing so well at that football club. We've always been taught, we always headlines in every newspaper around the world, and still continue to do that. So we know that social media is a big thing now. So everyone is very enticed in social media. They read the news. There's news flashes that comes up on their phone, their laptops, everything, stories. So there is no way to really get out of the position that United are in at the moment. But we're still one of the biggest club, and hence that's why everyone's continued to talk about us.
Yeah, from Aston Villa to going to Manchester United, what did Sir Alex Ferguson add to your career?
But he didn't add anything to my career. He just gave me a platform to go and perform, to compete against the best European clubs and best players in the European League. Aston Villa had already given me a huge platform playing in the Premier League. I was the main man there and continued to score quite a few goals in my time. And then what Manchester United provided me to leave Aston Villa was the simple reason, because I wanted to win major trophies. And knowing that United was a bigger club, and that opportunity with playing with better players would have presented me with that. I think manager knows exactly what I was capable of doing. I was 26 years of age, and I'd already done my apprenticeship in terms of the Premier League. I've been there for nearly 10 years, so I understand what it takes to compete at that. And so giving me the opportunity to play in the biggest club competitions in the world, that was what Man United provided me. But he didn't really help me in anything. He just granted me an opportunity to show what I was capable, the things that he saw in me that I was capable of doing also. So, it's a win for win, tack for tack, however you want to put it. It worked out perfectly in his eyes, and in my eyes was the best move I could have ever envisioned. It's one of the best decisions that Sir Alex Ferguson would have made in terms of bringing me to the football club, because we went on to win the treble that no other British team has been able to have done. We are the first, and certainly City is the second now, but we have done things that no other team has been able to do.
Yeah, and I heard one of the fans pretended to be your brother. Did that story annoy you?
One of the fans pretend to what?
To be your brother.
I have no idea. That's the first time I'm hearing this one. I never heard that before. So I didn't realize a fan was pretending to be me. I never heard that one before. Sorry, that's the first time I'm hearing it.
Yeah, because I have read it somewhere. I want to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. Do you think he was treated badly in his second spell?
Cristiano Ronaldo is someone that I know personally. I've met him and been in his company a few times and been able to talk to. I think just before he actually left the football club, I visited the football club because I was doing my coaching badges. So I went on an observation mission to spend 10 days at the football club, watch and observe what was going on. And I had the opportunity to speak to him. For literally half an hour, we spoke about the in-depth of the club, where he think that the club was going wrong, what his opinion and what the situation there. So I had a little bit of an insight in terms of what his thought process was. Obviously, I wouldn't go into details what he suggested. He felt that there was so much more that he could have done to help us become the club that we were once were, and he felt unjust. He didn't get the respect that he probably deserved, and of course, looking from the outside without knowing the ins and outs of between the manager and the player and the club, I felt, from my personal opinion, that he could. I think the situation could have been dealt a little bit different. But then when you're Cristiano Ronaldo and the media hype around him and everything else, he spoke out, and he spoke out with his belief, and that's his opinion to do what he did. He's a person that I respect dearly. I admire in terms of what he have done and achieved in the game, which is huge. And so, a person who has been an iconic figure for Manchester United football, I just think the way how it all ended, it should have never reached to that level. I think it could have been a dent. It could have been dealt with in a more amicable way, and for both parties. And then that way, the friction would not have been the way it was. But we are living in the modern world. You know, people are social media. It's very easily accessible, and you know, you make your own decision. But I have my own decision, and I felt that he was a little bit unfairly sort of dealt with how the club deal with him personally.
Yeah, I mean, when Ten Hag asked him to warm up before the end of the game, I think 5 minutes to go, he was angry and he left the stadium. That's why people think he was wrong.
Well, listen, I don't know exactly. We've seen it on the media, but I don't know what triggered him to act in the way that he did. He had his own opinion. He's his own man. He makes his own decision. We're talking about one of the most, if not one of the most famous people in the world, if not the most famous person in the world, who has got a record in football second to none, better than most people in the world. Everything that he's done, he's achieved it at the highest level. So, you know, it's very hard to point your finger at someone who's that successful in our sport. But I respect him. I respect his decision. Um, his decision was made based on his opinion. So that's all that matters.
Yeah, and when we talk about the nationalities of players, sometimes they say that nationality affects the player badly. I mean, there are some nationalities get enough credit, and the other ones, maybe their mates in the team, they don't help.
Yeah, well, listen, football is a universal sport, and there is lots of nationality that is in various clubs, and we as players, we don't really have an issue with that. Never really affect us in any way. It doesn't matter where you come from. I think the people on the outside make a big deal of things, but within a football club, everyone is pulling in the right direction or trying to pull in the right direction just for one benefit, which is to win football matches and be successful at that football club. So nationalities doesn't really affect how players do think of each other. It really doesn't.
Yeah, and when it comes to national team, I mean, Haaland, we will not see him in Euro 2024.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, we had Ryan Giggs for a number of years, probably one of the best players in world football for a number of years. Haven't been able to play in the World Cup or play in the Euro. So Haaland is not no exceptional to what people have done. They have themselves to blame. They have some terrific players that is coming through the Norwegian teams, Hogard and people like that who play for for the likes of Arsenal. So they got a real good team, but if they don't qualify, there's nothing much that you can do about that. They got themselves to blame. So unfortunately, that's how football is. You don't qualify for major competition. You do like everyone else. You have to watch it on TV like everyone else.
Yeah. With the situation in the dressing room for Manchester United, I think there is a lot of leaks outside. So how would you deal with the dressing room now?
Well, listen, I don't really want to get into too much how you deal with the dressing room. I think that's for Ten Hag to sort out pretty much. We know in the past there has been a toxic sort of environment developing in and around the football club. For whatever reason, Man United has never been a toxic place for some way, whatever reasons or because of managers or I don't know what the philosophy and the ideas behind the scene. We had changed managers in the last 3 to 4 years, 3 different managers who's come in. There's players who's probably been at the football club far longer than they're supposed to have been. So maybe create a bit of friction when managers is not really seen eye to eye with the players that they brought in. And so that's a normal thing that happens in football all the time. But it's up to the manager to really implement his what we call in the modern day game his philosophy and build the culture in a way that everybody comes in line and get on board with his ideas and try to play in a certain way. If you don't eradicate that from the environment that you sort of went into, and then if you don't change it around, then you're always going to have this unrest in the dressing room. So unfortunately, it seems to have a little bit of unrest, but again, that's the manager's job to make sure he sorted it out.
Yes, Dwight, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for everything. I really appreciate it.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
أتمنى أنكم استمتعتوا في المقابلة مع دوايت يورك وشفتوا النقاط اللي طرحها هذا اللاعب الرائع واللي حاليا هو مدرب لترينداد وتوباغو. طبعا الفترة الأخيرة إصابات لمانشستر سيتي، الله يعينهم الله يعينهم. مركز ثاني ترى زين، واذا عندكم اصابات ترى شركه فيزيو في عندهم اعاده تاهيل. روح الكويت وخذ راحتك، وبالعكس ترى الجو الحين زين، ريح في فيزيو، ما له داعي تقعد في بريطانيا اول ما تكون جاهز على طول تنزل ارضيه الملعب. لا ريح، شركه فيزيو ان شاء الله تضبطكم شوي شوي على اساس لا تتفاقم الاصابه. ريحوا يا مانشستر سيتي، خلوا ليفربول شوي يستمتع بالصداره. لا تنسون اللايك والشير والسبسكرايب عشان يستمر المحتوى، وان شاء الله ترى المحتوى جاهز، لا تحاتون. هذا الموسم 10 أسماء بإذن الله راح تكون موجودة، اوريدي احنا عرضنا 3 و7 راح يكون على مستوى عالي. نشوفكم على خير إن شاء الله.